Good afternoon. My name is Jessica, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the Using Technology to Improve Collection Performance conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you should need assistance during the call, press star and then 0 on your telephone keypad, and an operator will come back on the line to assist you. Thank you. Noble Systems, you may begin your conference.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us for this Noble Systems webinar on the topic Using Technology to Improve Collections Performance. My name is Guy Williams. I'm the VP of Regional Accounts here at Noble Systems. I've been with the company for about 12 years on the sales side of the house, and my job is to provide pre-sale consultation to clients to help define their requirements and match our technology solutions to their business needs. Joining me on this webinar is Matt Schock, also from Noble Systems. Matt has been with us for 10 years and is one of our most senior solution engineers. He has a very rich technical background and will be covering pertinent product functionalities as we go through our time this afternoon. Now, the purpose of today's presentation is to help raise awareness regarding some of the available technologies that exist to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of your collection operations and to decrease your overall cost. Now, we have just a couple house rules before we get started. First, all lines are set on mute. And second, please feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A tab at the top of your screen. We will answer questions at the end of the presentation. And if we're not able to get to your question during the webinar today, we will follow up with you directly. So once again, just reiterating, the purpose of today's webinar is to show you how you can use technology to dramatically increase your collections performance and lower your cost. First, let's look at some of the common problems being experienced in collection operations today. We have customers ranging from 4 seats to thousands of seats, and some of the common problems that keep surfacing within the collection operation seem to get rounded off into these 4 categories. The most common is what we might call the human resource issue, and it's also the most expensive resource you have. So staffing, training, and turnover or retention, all are really important human resource issues, which can become a problem, particularly a cost and morale problem if not handled correctly. The second item is collector or agent productivity. That is improving the performance, efficiency, and effectiveness of your collectors. I'm sure many of you are concerned about maintaining compliance, and this is the third most common problem. Maintaining compliance can include a combination of financial systems and regulatory compliance, and with that are various requirements and standards to consider, such as security. And last but not least, everyone these days is interested in how to reduce costs and manage growth. It's perhaps a good time to be in the collection industry. With the current state of the economy, there's a lot of debt that needs to be recovered, and as a result, there are a lot of growth opportunities. But many collection organizations are struggling with how to manage growth while keeping costs low. In this economic environment, I'm sure you've all been asked to do more for less, all while maintaining good profitability and keeping internal and outside stakeholders happy. So let's talk about how technology can help solve these common problems. If you remember, the first common problem is related to the human resources issue. One of the first things we can do is unify the collector desktop, which is accomplished by getting rid of multiple screens, multiple applications, the alt-tabbing between screens, such as mainframe and collection screen. Perhaps many of you are using collection applications and collection inventory systems that you're very familiar with, have invested a lot of capital in, and don't necessarily want to change, and that's okay. We can work with your existing applications and on other areas such as list management strategies, dialing strategies, reporting, recording, and so on to add value. Keep in mind, the idea is not about changing the things that work well. It's about enhancing what already works by improving and automating other areas to help agents gather and manage information effectively. So how does that relate to HR? Well, one of the biggest challenges in the area of staffing and training, particularly new staff, we see when we visit collection operations is the length of time it takes to train a new collector to become revenue producing. In most cases, training takes at least a week, and in other cases, 4 or 5 weeks before that person is really generating collections revenue. What we've done with the technology inside the Noble Solutions Suite is to provide tool sets to simplify that and to get your collectors up to speed as quickly as possible. And that's also where digital recording comes in. Digital recording can be a real asset for training and development. Listening to how a new collector handles a call is critical. Then allowing collectors to hear their own recording, both the good stuff and the not so good stuff, also helps them to learn how they can make improvements. We have clients taking a lot of different approaches here. Another point is providing consistent feedback to your collectors. For example, if your collectors are on a commission structure, technology that allows the collector to track their performance in real time enables them to hit their targets and make their commissions because they always know exactly where they are and what they need to do in order to accomplish, or what they need to accomplish in order to reach their goals. The result of this kind of real-time feedback can increase job satisfaction and morale. We'll show you a simple agent screen here in a moment that helps you achieve this. From a training point of view, one of the most effective things you can do is simplify the agent's tasks. When setting up your applications, it's crucial to get the right information to your agents so even with minimal training, they can handle phone calls. That's when they start to generate more revenue and become an asset, which is something that's critical to your ROI when implementing these type of technology solutions. Agent accountability. When we visit collection operations and contact center operations to observe the way they work and look for ways to help them improve their operations, one of the things that surprises us is that few collection organizations are monitoring what their collectors do all day. By that I mean evaluating reports to understand when an agent is productive and when they're not. In response, we've taken a bit of a different approach to that, and we're going to talk about how we can optimize agent accountability, whether it's through the reporting piece of our solution or automating some of the duties that are currently performed manually. The last step critical to the Noble Systems philosophy of how our solutions work is we push the work to the agents. And that goes back to the previous point. There's a value to ensuring your agents always have work, with the end result being that you end up dictating and executing the strategy. If you leave the strategy and deployment of your collections operations to your collectors and allow every agent to be independent, you're not going to have a standard approach. And even though you may have some excellent collectors, the control of your operations will be negatively impacted. At this point, I'd like to turn the floor over to Matt Schock so he can explain how Noble Composer Agent Desktop is used by our customers to help unify agent screens.
Thank you, Guy. One of the things we wanted to talk about today was unifying the collector desktop. Within Noble Composer, which you see on the screen in front of you, an agent can have all the different tools at his or her fingertips. For example, the buttons you see on the screen allow the collector to go to various points within their applications. For instance, they can do research by branching to a standard web browser or to a notepad or to an external application if you choose. All these areas are customizable within Composer, which we will teach you how to do, so that you become self-sufficient to set up your own campaigns or things such as call scripting, virtually whatever you like. If you are doing owned account dialing, which a lot of our customers currently do, your collectors can be set up to either own their own list of accounts or to participate in a pool of accounts from which each collector chooses accounts to call on. This is our Debtor Contact Management System, or DCMS, that shows all the accounts you have to work that day. And if you're using it in the first, as I described, collectors will see only their individual accounts by choosing one single bucket where they can go and simply double-click on one of these accounts. While they're working it, the screen will change color to show it is being worked. You can also use this in a preview mode, so when collectors are going through the accounts, managers will automatically feed account info to them, and they can work the next one without having to do anything manually. As they select an account, we bring up the account screen, and you can see the various buttons, each one representing a different phone number to contact a debtor on. You can also initiate such things as research from here, enabling agents to get information they need from various systems and pop into the application. Composer can easily be customized to do whatever you want them to do. This is what we like to call the magic or the easy buttons. You can configure them to execute multiple tasks, such as enter new accounts, any type of research to a web or other systems, or even mainframe systems if you choose. One of the features of Composer is that all the information the collector needs and all the accounts they own can be accessed while they stay inside the predictive queue, so they can continue to take calls from the central list. They can also move out of that work and begin working on their own list of accounts, thereby giving them maximum flexibility and the ability to automate otherwise mundane manual tasks. With our debtor contact management system, there's also fully integrated skip tracing that brings the skip trace information to your collector so they never have to leave their screen regardless of the skip tracing systems that you may already use. The next screen is an example of a collection screen that can be created. Once again, the unique ability of the Composer tool to quickly create a variety of custom screens. It's easy and flexible and easy to use, allowing the creation of background information from something as simple as populating background into things like name, address, phone number, or perhaps a more complex screen like the one that you see in front of you acts as a wrapper to whatever debt collection software you use. And what it's really useful for is in driving the collector into the right direction, reducing the training time to sometimes hours rather than days. In addition, it unifies what you're doing on a consistent basis. The collectors are consistently looking at the same screens. Collectors are following the same platform, the same motivation, and seeing the same information, saying the same things, thereby driving your strategy while following the same process and procedures. The other important part about this tool is you can start with a blank canvas and build screens that are business rules based. By that I mean if you are working with different states with different regulations, demographics, time zones, or whatever, you can set the business rules to pop the information call by call to the collector. You can see on this screen there are also easy buttons configured to, in this case, to a mainframe. We can also populate data in real time or batch mode to and from a variety of systems and or database. We can also screen scrape if required. There's very little we can't do with this tool in terms of unifying the desktop applications necessary for the collector. The next screen that you see in front of you shows the types of things that we can do to keep collectors informed and give them consistent feedback. In this case, a very basic agent scorecard with just the facts is displayed when the agent goes into a pause or after call work mode, giving them a clear understanding of where they are in the day and how effective their work has been. As you can see, we have agent total calls, and agent's calls, average calls, call time per hour, how many completes they've done. You can also see include a message of the day, and once again, it's completely customizable, and that a variety of statistics can also be included. Setting minimum standards for your collectors on a daily or weekly basis can help them see how they're performing and whether they need to pick up the pace. I just also want to add that Noble Systems Composer DCMS is not there to replace your existing or collections debtware software. It's there to help unify that desktop so the agent spends less time on each individual call, and it gives them information in front of them and basically incentivizes your collectors to do better.
Thank you very much, Matt. Now, the previous section was more about how you can bring your agents up to speed very quickly by providing them with a very easy-to-use environment that reduces your training costs and makes agents profitable by providing them with the necessary skills. Now I want to talk about how we can help improve your agent's productivity. Your next challenge comes after bringing a new agent on board and you start looking at what you can be doing with the system to ensure you're getting the most out of your collector and to ensure you have a continuous improvement program in place. One of the things we see that is sometimes overlooked is the projecting of a phone number to the called party. It can be critical to ensuring that you get the right party contact. What we found is that some of our collection customers have learned that by changing up the number that's displayed on the ANI or the caller ID on an outbound call, sometimes on a daily basis or by just putting the local caller ID on the display, can help in getting a response. Some companies have reported as much as a 25 to 30% increase in answered calls and an increase in callbacks even when there was no message left. Everything you do within the Noble platform can be measured, so this can be measured as well. And it's important because everybody in the collections industry does things a little bit differently. You may all have different collection software or trying different strategies, etc. And the ability to measure it is crucial. If you can't measure it, you can't control it. So good, flexible reporting is critical. Another activity we see at client sites with regards to increasing the right party contacts is changing up the list rotation and dialing strategy. If you're loading the same lists in the same order and dialing it in the same way every day, the results are not going to change. As a matter of fact, you're actually going to see your results diminish because the list ages and becomes less and less productive. What we recommend is to take a full look at your dialing strategy, and we're going to show you some of the tools that will allow you to plan out a day, a week, a month, or well into the future, and strategize on how you want to approach your list, how you may want it to do different the next time, whether you want to sort it in a different order, you want to call homes versus work versus mobile numbers, and how you can optimize getting right party contacts by churning your list in different cycles and time frames. Another thing I'd like to point out on right party contacts is that with our system, excuse me, when you load a list and you run through the system on a traditional predictive dialing mode, and you end up with your termination codes such as busies, disconnects, etc., you can immediately generate that disconnect list with the account information and start skip tracing activity immediately. If you use external skip trace resources, you can do that on what's called a waterfall process, where you start with the lower cost skip tracer to see if they get a hit, and if they don't, then roll to a more expensive but potentially higher quality, higher return skip tracing method. The next morning, you can automate this as you get the results and place all those skip trace numbers into a Noble Composer application so that as soon as the collector gets through his or her early morning calls on the predictive dialer, they can go into their Composer skip trace application and start verifying all of the new numbers they've obtained through the skip trace waterfall. And all of this is managed inside of the Noble Systems platform. Any numbers found to be good are automatically updated into the collections application. This can reduce your cycle time in regards to account maturity by as much as 20 to 30% and allows you to quickly identify problem accounts that lack information. There's so many things a collection agent has to do on a call, including updating the collections application, scheduling a call back, entering notes, launching an email or letter, and these have to be done on virtually every single call. What we've done through our technology is empower our customers to use one click to do several different and sometimes simultaneous tasks. So, for example, if a collector gets a call and they verify it's a wrong party, they can click one button for wrong party, and it gets coded against the call, updates all the systems, and ensures that the wrong party is not called back. And depending on the situation, it could place that call on an excluded list so it's never called again. The last point on improving collector productivity I want to make here is regarding virtual collectors. The payback on this can be massive. What we're talking about here is not just collectors, but part of the entire collection strategy to really drive the most from technology to optimize your investment in your collections operations and technology. With the latest technology from Noble Systems, you can set up a campaign literally in a matter of a few minutes to launch outbound text-to-speech messages that can operate with or without agents in the call center. Or you can even do an opt-in confirmation such as, is this John Smith? Press 1 for yes. And you can do identity verification, and the call gets transferred on to a collector. The other piece of this virtual collections technology is the IVR functionality. That provides the ability to take payments in an automated fashion. For example, if you go with a strategy of using automated text-to-speech for out of hours or off-hours work, then having the ability for someone to press 1 and make a payment has obvious advantages in productivity and in decreasing agent labor costs. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Matt here to show you some of the additional functionalities that help to further optimize agent productivity.
All right, the next few slides are actually from the Noble Management Suite that shows how we can optimize agent productivity from a management perspective. What we're looking at now is actually called our Agent Station screen. And what this does for a manager or supervisor of a collection center is it gives you a graphical view of the statefulness of each agent at that moment. So green would indicate that an agent's actually connected to a call. Yellow would be waiting for a call. And in this particular instance, orange would be that they're in after-call work or wrap-up mode. In addition, we can set thresholds around each one of those states, so that the agent will actually begin to flash on the screen as they cross that threshold. For instance, if it's determined that the average call takes 4 minutes, and you want to know which agents have been connected longer than 4 minutes, then the station color will begin to flash on the screen. What this does is free the manager to be able to do other things while keeping them informed, giving them a graphical view, setting things to help them manage to the exceptions. So they don't have to physically look at each agent to see what they're doing. It basically gives an overview of the room at any given point in time and gives you the ability to manage to the exception. The next screen is called our list schedule, and what this allows managers to do is to strategize a day or a week in advance or even months in advance to schedule calling lists to start and stop automatically at particular times of day in order to better give penetration of your list base. It's really a very helpful tool that allows supervisors and managers to schedule things in advance so they don't have to constantly manipulate lists. It gives them the ability to manage and increase the productivity of the collection center and the collectors. The next screen is something that Guy touched on earlier, and that is the ability to change the CLI or ANI on a regular basis, given the ability to enter the call number as well as the name of the company to broadcast across the caller ID. The reason we show this is so that you can see how easy it is to do. Some of the feedback that we've gotten in this form of a strategy point of view works well, and it allows you to mix it up and get people to pick up the phone who normally don't answer calls they know are from a collections company.
Thank you, Matt. The third topic or area of importance is managing or maintaining compliance. And I know that compliance is somewhat different for every different collections operation. However, there are a number of different areas becoming standard, such as government legislation. And if you collect for clients, the rule is sometimes set by your clients. Some of those rules, as mentioned, may govern activities such as when you can record, how many times you're allowed to call, state-based rules versus federal rules, monitoring capabilities, as well as reports that can verify activity, and QA efforts on various functions by each agent. Tool sets that Noble Systems has built into the solution can help bring success in managing compliance. For example, let's say that you're working on a collections campaign that has stringent requirements in regards to notes or how systems are tracked or what counts as a contact and what doesn't count as a contact, etc. Well, Noble Systems technology gives you the ability to automate them and allows management to set up your campaign so the collector cannot dictate whether it's a good or a bad contact and can't impact whether the notes are put in correctly or not because it's done for them automatically. So from a compliance point of view, it simplifies the process and enhances your QA process to ensure things such as notes, wrap codes, etc. are done in a compliant fashion. Agent guidance, custom screens, and scripting have really grown out of what used to typically be a sales and telemarketing tool or application in contact centers. We're finding this is a really useful tool to help maintain compliance. We're starting to see more and more collection operations go to scripting for collectors, especially new staff, where they walk through the first handful of calls in the call process. For example, if you need to confirm things such as name and address and place of employment as part of compliance, you have the ability to be able to control that with agent scripting and make sure it's the only information available to the collector and that they verify that information before moving them into a collections effort. Now, with digital recording, obviously, there are many different rules and laws relating to recording, and sometimes there are just as many different interpretations of those laws. What we do is provide recording tool sets that companies can customize. If you want to record 100% of your calls and keep them for 10 years, the system can easily do that. If you want to record 20% of the calls and keep them for 7 days, you can do that too, whatever you need to remain compliant. Additionally, as an option, screen captures can allow you to monitor and record the screen, including mouse movements of collectors to see where they may have trouble navigating or finding information and remaining compliant. Recordings are also very useful from a compliance point of view in handling complaint resolution. If there's a dispute about what was said on a call, the recording can be used to help verify the truth. And the recording can even be converted to simple formats such as WAV files that can be sent to clients via email to assist with complaint resolution. With on-screen alerts and feedback, we can provide unique pop-up feedback per list or even per call on unique compliance requirements in regards to collections. That information can be shown to the collections agent dynamically based on the business rules pertaining to a particular call. Additionally, we offer speech analytics, which enables our customers to do data mining of digitally recorded conversations. Speech analytics leverages large volumes of recorded conversations to gain actionable business intelligence. As part of our unified contact center platform, this tool allows you to quickly analyze call recordings to spot trends, identify underlying reasons for customer calls, and improve your quality assurance programs. It essentially allows you to data mine very quickly and automatically all of those digitally recorded conversations to spot these trends and words that agents or people might notice. Now, going to the recording capabilities of our system are extensive in providing information to determine whether agents are being productive and for spotting trends that could point to compliance issues. Some of the clients pull reports to identify simple things like call avoidance, where agents may be prone to dumping or avoiding difficult calls. And then, of course, with recording, there is information to back up corrective action. Now, we got a couple more screens where we can show what we can do to help customers report and manage operations. So I'm going to turn it back over to Matt Schock at this point.
Okay, what you see on the screen now is actually an example of what we refer to as our campaign detail report. We can sort this information in a number of different fashions, but what we've done here is to show how all the different campaigns we want to report on across the top of the report. Then we see the different metrics along the left-hand side of the report, such as completes per hour, percentages, so on and so forth. You're seeing also a bit of color coding based on a particular category. The first one's being completions per hour, which is where we set a threshold. In this case, I believe the threshold was set at 5 completions per hour per campaign. So those campaigns that are within the threshold are shown in yellow, only way above are shown in green, and ones below are falling below into the red category. So not only do you have the ability to, capability to pull these reports to view all of your metrics, you can use color coding to quickly alert supervisors to potential problems or to quickly identify which projects or campaigns aren't performing. And we can do this not only at the campaign level but by agent as well. The next screen is actually the Agent Daily Statistics report. The one we're looking at is contacts per hour. And if you look across the top, there are additional categories such as calls waiting, total calls, and completes. By clicking any one, management can bring up the numbers for the particular category. In addition, you can see the contacts per hour on different days for each agent, so you can compare and contrast how your agents are doing and whether someone is not performing as well.
Thank you, Matt. In wrapping up, the one message I'd like to leave with you today is simply this. If you're doing the same thing you always do every day, using your technology in exactly the same way, there's a good chance that you're missing out on additional productivities. I know we introduced a lot of things today in a very short period of time at a high level, some of which are conceptual if you don't have the kind of technology we're talking about in place. But hopefully you'll be able to take some of this and think about how you can use some of the current applications you're working and perhaps figure out ways to mix it up a little bit and always be on the lookout for better ways to do things and better technology to do it with. If you're always challenging yourself with those questions and calling on Noble Systems asking, what should I be doing, I think you'll always come up with new ways you can try and test part of your strategy. And remember, there's technology available right now from Noble Systems that will help you implement new strategies and collect more revenue per collector. Well, that completes our presentation today. We do have a few questions that I noticed that have come in here. So I'm going to go ahead and read those, and then we'll see if we can give you some answers now. Any that maybe we don't have answers off the top of our heads, we'll be glad to reply to you directly. The first question here is, do you have some type of document that highlights what has been discussed in today's webinar? The answer to that is yes, we actually have a best practices in collections technology document that covers pretty much everything we've covered here today and does it in detail. So we'll be glad to forward that to each of the attendees on today's webinar. The second question is, for the Composer scripting, how many clients use Composer or the DCMS, that's the Debtor Contact Management System? Currently, we have approximately 350 to 400 clients that are specifically using the Composer or Composer Debtor Contact Management System. So it's a tried and true system that's out there in use by many thousand stations out there. The next question is, you mentioned the best time to call. Is that a separate standalone product, or is it integrated in the Noble platform? The best time to call functionality is available as an option, though it is a fully integrated functionality of the Noble Systems platform. Basically, the best time to call, just to refresh, limits the dialing based on previous dial attempts that connected to the desired person, essentially the right party contacts. The filter then tracks that contact information for each call and uses it to optimize the rate of right party contacts as you dial in the future. So it's a fully integrated functionality that's available within our tool set. The next question here is, workforce management, is that purely inbound or does it handle outbound as well? I think we touched on that. Matt, would you like to address that?
Absolutely, yeah. The workforce management handles both inbound and outbound. There's a little bit different way that it handles it. Obviously, from an inbound perspective, we're looking to achieve or meet certain service level requirements from your business processes. From the outbound side of it, it works best within a truly blended environment, but it can also work as a standalone outbound. And what we're measuring there is giving a certain limiting factor of time and a certain target parameter. What is the agents required to achieve that target? And that can be currently attempts, right party contacts, or completes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Matt. The next question, it looks like the last question that we have here, unless somebody types in an additional one before we finish with this one here. The next question we have is, how much do you utilize unattended dialing? Well, our customers utilize the unattended dialing pretty extensively, and they do it in a variety of ways. One way is to play outbound messages to live contacts. Another way is to play the outbound messages to answering machines. When it's played to live contacts, you have a couple different options depending on how our customers are using it. One way is to play a message and give them information saying, hi, we're calling you about a very important matter. Please call us back at, and then give whatever phone number is appropriate. Another way is to do what's called fronting of the calls, where you play a message to a live contact. You ask to verify who they are, such as playing a message that says, hi, this is a very important message for Mary Jones. If you're Mary Jones, press 1. The called party, if they are Mary Jones, they then press 1. It then may ask for some kind of identification, like the last 4 digits of your social or some other information that would identify them. Then they can either transfer that call directly to a live collector who is available, or they can transfer them into an IVR payment processing system within our system so that they can then explain the entire call and take different payment methods from them. To the answering machines, when you're playing messages out to answering machines, it's typically an outbound, unattended outbound message that plays out to the answering machines to drive the inbound calls back into the call center. And all of these functionalities can happen simultaneously within our system. So you can be playing messages to live and dropping the call. You can be playing messages to live agents or to live debtors where you're fronting the call and transferring them back into collectors, and simultaneously playing messages out to unattended answering machines at the debtor's location. Okay, we've got another question here. How many agents do you need to have in order for the blended solution to work properly? Well, our system starts out with configurations of 4 agents, and we'll go up into the thousands of agents. The blending is not dependent on the number of agents. It will blend the calls into the call center regardless of the number of agents you have. So while an agent is finishing up on an outbound call, the very next call can be an inbound call. And the nice thing about our system is that it will identify, using the Composer wrapper, it will identify the different outbound calls versus inbound calls that may come in. So when agents receive the next call, they can clearly see that this is an inbound call. And depending on whether it's an inbound or an outbound, or if it's for a variety of different campaigns, it will pop the appropriate script in front of the agent as well. Okay, we're going to give it about another 30 seconds here in case anyone else has any additional questions. That was our last question here. I think we had 6 or 7 good questions. If you have additional questions or you want additional information from Noble Systems, we're going to be sending out the best practices in collections technology to each one of the attendees here. You can also contact the phone number or email address that you see on the screen there for additional information, and we'll be glad to engage with you and assist you with any questions or requirements that you might have. Okay, I don't see any additional questions, so I think that wraps it up. Wait, we got one more here. Are copies of the slides available? I will defer to Tina and Lee on that. If you're on the line with us, you can address that.
Yeah, the presentation will be available on the website probably sometime next week.
Okay, so we'll be sending a link out for that?
We could do, but normally we just we post the webinar, the recorded webinar, actually online on our website.
Okay, very good. And I think we have one more question here. Nope, it was a blank question. Okay, so I guess that does it. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope this has been profitable for you, and we'll look forward to working with you in the future moving forward. Thank you all very much.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.